Hey everyone, my name is Eric Garcia. I'm one of the three conservation directors serving Central Nebraska right now. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be going over ecotourism in Nebraska and how these operations help conserve Nebraska's wildlife and the habitats that they inhabit. Just some brief information, if there's anybody new to our webinars, our organization is called Conservation Nebraska. This organization started the Common Ground program in 2016. This program is dedicated to educating Nebraskans across the state about conservation issues facing these various communities that we are serving in, pretty much by hosting educational events like these and engaging with stakeholders in the community. The Common Ground program has about 20 members currently across the state, serving just Nebraska as a whole, and we're considered conservation directors. So that's what I am. So just some logistics before we get into it is once the webinar is done, a screen will pop up on your web browser directing you to a survey. If you can please complete that whenever you decide to leave. We just use that for grant reporting purposes, and we'd love to get any feedback that you guys might have. So throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A option at the bottom of your screen, and there is a chat option. Please put any questions that you might have in those two little options that you have there. If you want to know a little bit more about the information that our guest speakers are going to cover. And then I'll just want to thank all of our speakers for attending today, for dedicating this time to educating some of us on ecotourism. Really excited for that. So we're going to start off with our first presenter. Her name is Katie Nieland. She currently manages the Great Plains Ecotourism Coalition and is the communications coordinator for the Center for Great Plains Studies at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. She will be going over some of the research on ecotourism the center has done and just give you some basic information on ecotourism and what it is essentially. So Katie, you could take it away.
Thanks, Eric. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. And I, of course, can supply any sort of PDFs or links that you see in this presentation. I can give them to Eric afterward and you can disperse those things. But I'm Katie, as he said. I'm the Assistant Director and Communications Coordinator for the Center for Great Plains Studies, and that's at the University of Nebraska. And we've been studying ecotourism now for the better part of a decade. In case you haven't heard of the center real quick, we're regional and interdisciplinary. So we look at science and history, literature and art, all about the Great Plains, and we publish a lot in that subject area as well. Here is our Great Plains coverage area. And so when I talk about ecotourism, I'm talking about the entire Great Plains, not just Nebraska, but we focused a lot on Nebraska in some of our research. So first I'll talk a little bit about what our definition of ecotourism is. It can be different for everybody, but we like to look at it as nature-based tourism and travel that really improves the well-being of local communities and really deepens one's engagement with nature and conserves the environment at the same time. So there's this interplay between an educational aspect, a nature activity, something that really spurs curiosity about the natural world, and interest in it, and that is just maybe a little bit deeper of appreciation for land and what we can do on them. So ecotourism sites that we have been looking at in the Great Plains of Nebraska, they're usually places you can see wildlife, photograph, hike, bike, learn about the natural environment. And the best examples are those ones that really connect the traveler to the land. What is this grass? What is this animal? Why is it important? What is this flower used for historically? It's really that educational element that we like to promote that really takes it to the next level. Some sites we're seeing even offer volunteer options that help support and sustain those communities there, and really add to their experience. So ecotourism is kind of an interesting aspect when we're looking at the Great Plains, and we like to look at it from a conservation viewpoint. Nowadays, the Great Plains is one of the least protected ecosystems on the planet. There's different estimates, but some say that around 1 to 3% of the tall grass prairie remains. That's mostly in the eastern part of the Great Plains. But around, there's definitely a need to protect what remains of our Great Plains natural landscape. And we like ecotourism as a method to do that because it really combines conservation with business and economics and local communities, and really tries to put everybody on the same page about some of these issues. That's especially important in Nebraska because it's around 93% of the land in the state that is privately held. So there's a landowner, a farmer, or a rancher, or just a private landowner that has the land. So there's not as much public conservation that we can do on it. So we have to find a way to work with these private landowners to do conservation in a way that makes sense for them, and helps them out, as well as helping travelers, enjoy the natural scenery here. So when we were looking to study ecotourism in Nebraska, we actually expanded our search for other models of ecotourism around the world, and found in Namibia, they were doing this really cool conservation that involved landowners and business. And so we looked at a lot of that, and a lot of the research I'll show you here in a second has to do with that. But the basic idea there is that the more they take care of the land, the more animals and plants that can live there, the more tourists that arrive, the more money that they make. So they become stewards of the land. We actually have a lot of similarities there. So that's our pronghorn on the left there, with an African counterpart, an antelope. And then we have our jackal, their jackal, and our coyote down at the bottom. So it's kind of cool to see those counterparts and talk about what we can maybe learn from their model. So we've recently published some research in this area and found that working with Professor Larkin Powell here at the University of Nebraska, who is really a great bird expert and has been studying ecotourism for many, many years, he found that visitors to these ecotourism locations are typically domestic visitors from the US. They lean female, they have families, and they're really motivated by some of these outdoor activities, a peaceful setting, and heritage, which really means they want to learn about what was on this land, what is going on now. They want to really get an idea for the scenery and the place and the people that live there. He found in his studies that most of those tourists only travel about 50 to 150 miles to get to their destination. So there really needs to be an easy way for people to get places. So that is really tied to highway infrastructure, automobile use, whether there's places to stay. But there is this new segment of long distance tourists that are really traveling long distances and staying longer. And I was doing a little bit of extra research about how is the pandemic affecting these tourists. And it appears to be that the Great American Road Trip is somewhat making a comeback. Whether that's a good idea or not, it does appear to be somewhat of a trend, and it's possible it could stick around even after the pandemic. So I pulled some information that said during the week preceding the July 4th holiday, Americans made 32.2 million trips of more than 50 miles, and that's compared to 31.9 million in the same period in 2019. So road trips, could be, and the long distance travel could be something to think about for ecotourism providers. So Professor Powell kind of looked at factors like distance, the density, like how many ecotourism spots there were in one area, and also rainfall levels, and then created this map to tell us like where might there be potential for ecotourist spots or ecotourists to go visit. And so those dark areas are places where there are existing ecotourism operations and low levels of precipitation. Now he looked at rainfall because less rainfall generally means fewer row crops. So that means more habitat for animals and like ranching operations instead of corn and soybean operations. So there's a little bit more potential for ecotourist where there's still grasslands. So he came up with this map. Now there are actually some fantastic ecotourism spots in the white areas, but these ones were just for short-term travelers, so people who wanted to string a bunch of spots together. So I think that's important when looking at this map. They would have more opportunity to do so. Now for the people who really wanted to like spend a long time in a place, they might just pick one or two spots and they'd be much more open to traveling long distances. So there's quite a few different types of travelers. And I have this piece, which was published in one of our journals a year ago or so, and I can get anybody who wants the full piece, I can get that for you too. He also looked at some research on what kind of amenities and features that ecotourists might be looking for. He collected this data and it is available in a booklet that I can send those who are interested. But it's basically like people would like, you know, some sort of nature activity, whether it's self-guided or guided, and then some sort of view, whether it's like a new landscape or just learning about the current landscape that they're in. They're looking for a bunch of different things, and I really think from some of the ecotourism spots that I visited in Nebraska and the wider Great Plains, there's lots of things for people to do here, and it's really exciting to actually get out there and experience them. Professor Powell also found some difficulties when operating an ecotourist spot, including nearby support structure, infrastructure, facilities, getting food shipped in, things like that, and that you know, people would need to learn some skills like marketing, customer relations, which can be learned. It just takes time to do so. So we started this Great Plains Ecotourism Coalition in 2014 as a home base for our ecotourism project. And we were committing to promoting conservation through building this network of ecotourism spots. We put 39 spots together. Some of them, most of them are places you can visit, but some of them are just people who support ecotourism. And that's available on our website if you guys wanted to check out that. And then we supplied these places with some things like marketing, including our Great Plains poster series, a guidebook. There's a map of the top 50 ecotourism spots in the Great Plains if you ever wanted to take an awesome road trip, brochures and things like that. We published a couple books on them, and then a guidebook format for anybody who's interested. It's sort of like a menu for visiting our individual ecotourism coalition members. That's pretty fun too. Beyond Larkin's research, we also created this liability for landowners research, which was super helpful, and we've been doing some workshops across Nebraska as well. In 2017, we ran a study on the economic impact of the sandhill cranes in Kearney. And these are some of the cool statistics that I pulled out. The main one being 14.3 million in economic impact in a 13 county area. So that was pretty cool. It shows like a real life example of how, and admittedly a very cool ecotourism spot this giant migration impacts the local community, but of course, smaller operations can also impact individuals and families. Here is our website, visittheprairie.com. We also have some social media. We try to tell some stories about ecotourism. We have a map for people who want to explore some of these sites that we've been in contact with. And we also held a large conference on it in 2018, which was pretty awesome. And so we have some publications from that too. But the easiest spot to get everything is just that visittheprairie.com or our UNL website there on the right-hand side. And so that is sort of everything we've been working on in the ecotourism sphere. I can definitely take questions after we're all done. Thanks, Eric.
Sweet. Thank you so much. That was a lot of awesome information that you provided for everyone. And so, yeah, if you have any questions, just put them in the Q&A option or the chat option, and we can get to those after everybody has gotten the chance to present. So our second presenter now is Jenna Bartja. Jenna is an adventure travel specialist with the Nebraska Tourism Commission. Today she will be going through some of the resources Visit Nebraska has available to anyone looking into starting their own ecotourism operation. So Jenna, you could take it away from here.
Thank you, Eric. Let me get my little screen share going. All right. So as Eric said, I'm with Nebraska Tourism Commission. I'm out of Lincoln, and my position and my role within Nebraska Tourism is under the fancy title of Adventure Travel Specialist, which is basically a fancy way of saying that I look at the nature-based assets in the state as far as their potential for tourism purposes. So a lot of that is, highlighting and development and marketing of our existing like ecotourism operations or adventure travel operations, and then also looking at potential to further develop some of those wonderful natural assets that we do have here in Nebraska. So to start off, I kind of wanted to start by giving everyone a little clip of our annual report from 2019. Oftentimes in conversations with Nebraskans, it's really funny that, our own communities sometimes feel like Nebraska doesn't have much to offer or that it's not someplace worth visiting. And that just could not be further from the truth. And I think that these numbers and kind of help to bear that out and maybe give some people some perspective on the impact that tourism does have on our communities here in Nebraska. 2019 numbers, of course, this was the annual report that we put out from 2018's data that we collected. So visitor spending totaled $3.4 billion. Tourism industry within Nebraska created over 40,000 jobs within the state, which generated more than $240 million of in-state and local taxes to help drive our communities and spur economic development. And then for a lot of tourism people, they like to have a number for heads and beds, like how many people overnighted. We had 6.4 million individuals that overnighted, so that planned or stayed overnight in Nebraska in our hotels and lodging facilities last year. Okay, so a little bit more about us as the Tourism Commission. So our team is small but mighty, and we each kind of have our very individual programs, but that makes us a really dynamic team. All of us are a resource. Reading down the list, John Ricks, our director, kind of thinks big picture, and he his job is to promote Nebraska as a state and help all of us to promote the individual assets that we're involved in, helping bring to light and helping to promote. Callie Osted joined on a little bit after I did, and she is our industry relations specialist. So she's kind of, her job is to kind of work with our CVBs, our county visitor bureaus, address their needs, make sure that we're getting them, the adequate resources that they really need to thrive and survive throughout Nebraska. And then there's me. I've already kind of mentioned what I do. Michael Collins, he's our group tour coordinator. So he would be the guy that you would call if you have the capacity and the desire to maybe potentially have group tours come through. He can, he will kind of create these itineraries typically, and he does a lot of the source work himself. So he'll typically approach you, but if you have a feeling that you don't know his face or that you'd like to get to know him better, give him a call. He's a great, fun guy, super great to work with. Has been he's also been here a really long time, so he has really thorough knowledge of the state and knows a lot of people, knows his way around. Jen Jurdy is our marketing manager. So again, she is involved really closely with John in our campaign work. So recently we launched a new campaign to kind of rebrand Nebraska. We want to get the word out that this is a really great state to come and visit. We have a lot of great things to offer, and we've flown under the radar maybe for years. And this campaign has largely been pretty successful in its reach. So Jen and John, they do a lot with things like that. Heather is our deputy director, and she's also our grant administrator. So we do offer yearly grants, and I'll get into those a little bit more here in just a second. So I'll kind of skip over that, but we will circle back to that. Karen Collars is our agritourism consultant. So she's kind of my counterpart. Adventure travel, it can intersect with ecotourism and agritourism. I mean, a lot of these aren't pinned down and really narrow in their definitions. There's a lot of intersectionality in kind of what we do and how we help people. But again, been working for Nebraska tourism for 15 years plus, and has a really great knowledge of the state, and is just a wonderful resource and a wonderful person to get a hold of if you're looking at starting or developing an agritourism operation. And she's also really, pretty thoroughly, she's got just really thorough knowledge of liability law and things like that, as far as, that goes for making sure that your business is protected. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you and your business are protected from liability. Erin Lenz is she's our public information officer. So she does a lot of our press releases. She works on our website, social media. I don't know how she sleeps. I feel like she is like constantly busy and, doing all the techie stuff that none of the rest of us are. I will speak for myself that I'm not great at, but she does a really good job of doing that. And she will also organize press trips. So we'll invite members of the press to come and experience itinerized trips within the state. So again, usually those are regional. We'll hit multiple assets, and then those writers will then go and create content, based on their experiences, which elevates and highlights what Nebraska has to offer. So that's a really, again, big important part of how we can help you to get your name out there and elevate your business. Madison Johnson is our passport program coordinator. For those of you that don't know what the passport program is, we'll go over that a little bit too in just a minute. So I won't spend too much time here, but essentially that's her baby. It's a big program. We get a lot of participation. It is something that right now is marketed in state. So we're trying to drive tourism, kind of in and around our state to some of the more remote areas, more rural communities, maybe new businesses that have popped up or hidden gems that just not a lot of people know about in the state. So every year she selects 70 stops to be part of the Passport program. And you can participate by getting our app or a booklet mailed to you. And like I said, I'll cover that a little bit more in just a second. Alicia Simonson is our accountant. No explanation necessary. We all got to have one. And then Shirley, she's our administrative assistant and helps. She's kind of the glue that holds our office staff together and kind of make sure that we're all keeping our sanity and staying on track within our respective goals and interdisciplinary subject fields. Okay, so what we do, I kind of talked about who we are and what each of us does, but this is kind of a rundown of the things that we do, big picture for Nebraska tourism. So we market Nebraska as a tourism destination. We do that through a targeted ad campaign. This is, through commercials, through print, through social media, the whole kind of 9 yards. We have a website, which we recently rehauled when we rebranded 2 years ago, a year ago. So that's kind of our biggest and best resource for listing all of the assets in the state. And so that includes ecotourism resources, restaurants, bed and breakfast, the whole 9 yards. If it's a place that you want to go and stay, sleep, enjoy yourself, have an adventure, chances are it's listed on our website. And if you're not, I can kind of show you where you can get listed. I'm here in a second. Like I mentioned, social media, we do produce a state travel guide yearly. So we list all of our listings from our website do make an appearance in that guide. We do also offer paid advertisement in that travel guide. So if you are interested in that, you can check, I can show you where you can find out more about that on our website. Media tours, I kind of touched on that as something that Aaron and Jen typically organize, where we invite journalists, to come and experience preset itineraries that we of really fun, usually it's a few days time, and we try and fit in as many fun things as we can for them to experience and enjoy in Nebraska, and then they write about it. And it appears in the publications that they work for. If they freelance, it could pop up in different publications, just depending on who decides to pick up their stories. Public relations, that's Aaron. Group tours, that's Michael. Travel counselor program, that's also Michael. This year with COVID, we actually did not hire travel counselors, but we typically do set aside money in our budget to hire a staff that will staff certain visitor centers throughout the state that can give people information about what they can see and do when they come. So we get a lot of traffic on I-80 that comes through, and our travel counselors try and convince people to get off I-80, see some of the rest of the state, maybe spend the night, and enjoy themselves a little bit more rather than just burning on through. So that is a really important program, and we hope to have that up and running again back next year. So support for our tourism industry partners. So, we do a lot of marketing for the state as a whole, but we also are here to serve our industry partners, and our, they're kind of the lifeblood of what makes Nebraska tourism tick. Without all you wonderful people out there, taking a chance and, entrepreneuring a business or a startup or some kooky idea, we wouldn't have the cool stuff that we have to offer. So we try and offer you resources through our industry resources page, which I'm about to take us through and just kind of show you where that content lives and how to navigate that a little bit. We also, Callie has started offering monthly webinars, which we put a timeout on during COVID, because there's a lot of webinars going on right now. So instead of us doing those like we were for the past year, we've been supplementing content that we have access to through U.S. travel, through larger industry resources, kind of above and beyond, what we can provide, that again gives great information to kind of get people through this really trying time. So we do publicize those webinars, and they live on our, they also live on our website in perpetuity. So any past webinar that you're curious about, you can go back, look, watch it, check it out, shoot people emails with questions. So those are a continued resource that we have. We do have an annual tourism conference. This is mostly for our industry members. We typically get a lot of visitor bureau attendance, but we want to broaden that. We really want to try and, we're trying to broaden our content more and more to make it more accessible for our small business owners, for our ecotourism operations, or our, pumpkin patches or things like that too. We want to make it accessible for anyone that wants to come and participate in that. So we're continually trying to kind of push the envelope for content and broadening our horizon as far as what we offer through that conference. Myself and Karen Collars, the agritourism consultant, we also put on a yearly agritourism and adventure travel workshop. And that is typically more focused toward your ecotourism operations, your agritourism operations. We held an ORD the first year that I worked in this position, so 2019, excuse me. And then this past February held it in Nebraska City. And we bounce around, we try and, visit communities where we can then branch out and see actually visit some of the tourism assets in the area, and get behind the scenes knowledge of what makes successful tourism operations tick. And, people get the opportunity to ask questions and exchange just, general knowledge and, what's worked, what hasn't. And I think it's been a really good resource in the past for our industry members. The Passport program, I'll get into that a little bit more. Grants, I'll get into that a little bit more. And consulting, that is mostly through, any one of us from our staff are really happy to help. But if you specifically have something that relates to ecotourism, I'm your gal. If it's agritourism, Karen can help. We usually can both help. We usually do both help. And whether that is, you're just starting out, you're wondering where to start your, how to write your business plan, or, what your business model should look like. Or if you're going through growing pains and, you need to kind of have someone externally assess, potential things that could help you get past, a junction that you're in your business. So I'm going to take us to the website. Did that pop up? Did the website pop up for everyone? Can you guys? No. Okay, let me do a new screen share. Stop share. Let's do share. Are we there yet? All right, awesome. Okay, so this is our website. It's VisitNebraska.com. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, past all these beautiful pictures and all this funny copy, to our industry link, which is all the way at the bottom, kind of hidden, not meant to be, but that is where, as an industry member, as an ecotourism operator within Nebraska, this is where you're going to find access to most resources for your business. And I've already kind of talked about our conferences and workshops, but let's talk a little bit more about our grant programs that we offer. So each year we offer two grants. One is a community impact grant and one is a tourism marketing grant. Tourism marketing grant has a lower threshold for the amount of dollars that you can request. And the dollars need to go toward, you guessed it, marketing for your business. You can view the guidelines here. And again, Heather Hogue is the one who can answer any and all grant questions. And she's just fabulous. She's one of the nicest humans alive. So I'll reshare our staff page again. So if you need to write down someone's number or email, you'll have the opportunity to do so. Our community impact grant is a much larger grant with a bigger, bigger pot of money that we can distribute, but we typically have much fewer applicants for this because this is typically something that is an event that maybe your community region puts on that truly draws from outside of the state. So this is a big event, a big attraction. Raises big community dollars, and so this one is one that I have helped navigate. Just this past year, helped navigate a community impact grant for the Nebraska Flyway region. So we've got the Sandhill Cranes, as Katie mentioned, which is this amazing natural occurrence that happens every year in Nebraska and brings lots and lots of people to come and witness that. But it doesn't just affect one community, it affects several communities. And the way the cranes are flying these days, they're kind of going further and further. You're seeing them further and further west. So now we have more opportunities for partnership in different counties coming together and saying, let's have a unified approach to marketing this, instead of being kind of really limited within our county and marketing it within our county, let's market it regionally, since it is a regional occurrence. So those are the types of things that make really good candidates for our community impact grant. Let's go back. Our webinars, like I said, they're listed here. So you can 2020 webinars, 2019 webinars. It's a mixed bag. We do marketing webinars. We do sneak peeks of our workshops or conferences, how to produce videos on a shoestring budget. I mean, it's really a mixed bag, and we're very open to, soliciting content for those. So if you have an idea or you want to learn about something, email us, and we will try our best to get someone who can give a webinar on that subject or that content as a resource for you guys. We tried and we were doing those monthly prior to COVID. And like I said, we're now sharing webinars, but they're just not, they're not the same content that they were, 5 months ago. So they'll return to normal eventually. The Nebraska travel guide listings business rules. So that just kind of walks you through what you need to do in order to be listed in our travel guide as a tourism entity in Nebraska. We've got our industry resources page here, which tourism has a tourism marker application. It's got some related organizations, so it links to related organizations that you may not know of, that you may want to become a part of. As far as networking goes, I mean, kind of, that's our bread and butter. Learn from your neighbor as much as you can, and we like to information share. So we do link to a lot of our partners, a lot of other associations within the state. And I think if I keep going, there may be, and it might be on a different page. There's a lot of them, guys. Okay. Look there, the Great Plains Ecotourism Coalition on our website. Nebraska Scenic Byways, Economic Development. I think there's something, okay, no, there's not anything. It's on a different little link here. Okay, so lots of good resources and links to other organizations that you may wish to be part of or learn more about there. We have statistics and reports, so if you're curious about lodging tax dollars, annual reports, they're gonna be in there. We just recently piloted a Nebraska Tourism Mentorship Program. If you, as a business, would like to mentor someone who might be interested in working in some aspect of hospitality or tourism, management, there's information in there that you can look up about how to apply to be a mentor. It's free. It's a great way for us to kind of funnel students coming out of, our university systems partner them with experts in the field so that they can have a head start and some real life expectations about what the industry is like when they head into the field. Agritourism and adventure travel resources. So we have Karen's info, my info, and then a few links here. We are also, we've got a handbook here that it's dated. It was printed in 2014 or 2015. We just put it up on the website. So this kind of takes you through the planning process for if you're interested in starting an adventure travel, ecotourism, agritourism operation, really kind of any type of small tourism business. If you're interested in, how to start one, what goes into it, this is a great place to start. We are updating this handbook. So we're in the process of going through and taking out the old and putting in some new, putting in lots of additional great resources and links to things that will make your life that much easier so that you don't feel like you're just all on your own, not knowing what to do, but really wanting to make some more money or start making some money, doing something cool and fun in our state. So that's that. What else? I said I was gonna, okay, so show y'all how to list yourselves on the Visit Nebraska website. So this is one of the things that is the easiest way to put your business on the map as far as, a free resource. If you don't have your business currently listed or your event listed on our website, you just go here. And if you don't have one yet, you request a new account. So right there, I think my screen is sharing, I hope it is, but you hit the login button and then you'll, instead of trying to log in first time, you'll just request a new account. It'll take you to this request for account and that will come to us and we'll reach out and we'll kind of help you navigate through the really simple process to get your business listed on our website. We have a lot of traffic to our website, being the state, being the state website, we can really broaden your reach more often than not. So that's the first and best easy way to kind of get your name out there. Again, we've got staff contacts and the like. I want to spend the last couple minutes, I think, talking about the passport program because that is something that is currently still happening this year, this summer, hasn't been canceled, still going on, and is another really, I'm going to share my screen again. Let me just get over here to it. Okay. Share screen. Okay, so the Nebraska Passport, their website is nebraskapassport.com. It's linked from Visit Nebraska, but it is its own separate site. And it's pretty self-explanatory. You've got, links for how to order your passport, results. So how many people in the state completed all 70 stops? How many people got 50? How many people got 25? We offer fun little prizes and incentives for people to get out and enjoy themselves and visit the state. And this is another great way to market or advertise your business because it's another free program that we offer. So all you have to do is apply, and there are some requirements. So you can, I think the requirement, I might have passed them already. Impact, I think it was up here. Like I said, Madison Johnson, she's a sweetheart. She's the passport program coordinator. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to her. She may not have the link posted because applications aren't open right now currently, But they'll open back up when the season ends, which is typically Labor Day weekend, but we've extended that this year. So the passport program, features 70 stops every year. You can apply more than once. Chances are you may not be featured in back-to-back years, but if you have a really cool business, then we would love to feature you more than once. It may just be a couple years after you initially come on and participate. I can't tell you how many people just rave about the traffic that this brings to their business, because Nebraskans, it's a fairly well-known program now. People are diehard into it, and there's some people that do this. They get 70 stops every year, and so it's really a way. And when choosing the stops, we really do try and look at the whole state regionally. We don't want a super hefty concentration of stops just in Omaha and Lincoln, even though there's so much there. The whole point of this program is to get people out, maybe to places that they haven't visited before, to the hidden gems of Nebraska. So I couldn't sing more praise about the passport program and all the wonderful things that it can do for you and your business. I would encourage you to apply. Come back to the website and check in October, or email lovely Madison Johnson and with your questions, and she's always super happy to help. Let's go back to stop share. Let's go back to go. Okay, so that was kind of the rundown of our website resources. Why can't I go on to the next? Okay. I have a slide for questions. Eric kind of said, let's save those to the end maybe, or put those in the comments. Here is our staff again. If anyone wants to write down contact information, I'll just leave that up. And I think, yeah, that was it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenna. Also a lot of great information. Thank you for that. So now we're going to transition to our final speaker for the evening, Sarah Sortum. She and her family operate Calamus Outfitters, a nature-based tourism operation in the beautiful Calamus River Basin in North Central Nebraska. Today she'll be talking a little more about her family operation and give you a glimpse into a local ecotourist destination. So take it away, Sarah.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, this is my family. So, it's a family affair, sort of a deal. So I had to picture them. Why is it not letting me forward? Hold on just a sec.
Maybe try using the keyboard or use your mouse.
Okay, thank you for that tip. Basically, very quickly, my family's been here on the ranch since 1904. And then just as a pretty typical ranch, we started our tourism operation in 2001. And I would say we started our ecotourism operation in about 2005. And I'll talk about the difference later. And then by 2006, my family were all back on the ranch. So that was our goal. Our family goal is to stay on the land together as a family. And part of our goal as a family is to manage and conserve that natural resource that we have so that it has lots of potential and opportunities for future generations. So that's what we operate under. I just wanted to mention quickly that no matter what business you're in, I think planning is really important. And a lot of times ecotourism operations are they're taking place on land that probably has other businesses happening on that same piece of ground as well. So you need to think about that from different perspectives, especially liability. So for us, our ecotourism operation and activities takes place on our ranch that our ranching activities take on. So it's just how that all kind of interplays together. And it is something to think about. We've chosen to go with limited liability companies, but there's lots of different options out there just to think about. I just threw this in there because obviously there's a lot of different roles that we all take on. But again, it seems like a lot of agribusiness and ecotourism opportunities involve families. And so, you know, communication and transparency is super important for long-term success, I'd say. So, you know, y'all have many hats, but you got to come together and make really good, smart decisions by consensus. So for our family, what we try and do is make decisions and not fights. We let the birds fight, and they're fun to watch. People fights, not so fun to watch. So we basically look at 4 things when we make decisions, and this goes for our ranching operation, it goes for our tourism operation, and our ecotourism activities. So we look, is it, obviously it's a business. Are we going to make money? You know, we have to make money. Is it sustainable in that way? How does it affect our production and services? Will it benefit the quality? Will it take our quality away? So we look at that. Our conservation, as I mentioned, conservation is very important as far as our land management practices go. So how will it affect that conservation? And then our quality of life. We decided we wanted to raise our kids here. So, you know, if it affects that quality of life, that factors into the decision. So when all those things come together, it really helps us to make a decision. Is this the way to go or not? So that's just an example from my family. So our tourism operation is called Calamus Outfitters. We do different things. We have lodging, we do our spring bird watching, and in the summer we have river trips. I do my Jeep tours pretty much year round. And then we have some event space as well. So Eric asked me to talk just a little bit about how we view our tourism models, and I would like to share how we try, at least, to create a memorable experience for our visitors. So we do some different kinds of tourism. We do river trips. So right now, that's really popular here in the summer. And, you know, I would not consider this an ecotourism activity. I consider it a nature-based activity. This is a high volume, low interaction activity. So we get a lot of people, it's high volume. There's no guides. You know, there's no interpretation, there's no education. It's a great activity and it's kind of a novelty. Then we have, you know, we promote our stargazing. So this is going to be a low volume and also low interaction. We don't offer guided stargazing, but we certainly promote our wonderful dark skies. So it's just a different model that we also employ. And then we do our spring bird watching, and this is a low volume guess, but high interaction. Everything's guided, lots of education. You know, we're with these people a lot. And so it's a different model. It's low volume, but high interpretation. And so your price point is different because of that. You know, this package price point is a lot higher than our river trip price point because of all of our time and our guides' expertise into making that experience. And I love the bottom right picture, by the way, because look at that. That was a cold morning and we had a great time. You know, it was just fabulous. And of course, they're coming to see these awesome dudes, which I had to throw those pictures in there, the chickens and the grouse. As I said, I do Jeep tours pretty much year round. I love the Jeep tours for our bird watching, especially because they are super, super interested in what kind of habitats the bird utilize. They've traveled a long ways to see this bird. They want to know everything about it. And so it's a great opportunity to tell stories. And I think that for my operation is what creates that memorable experience. It's the storytelling and helping people experience things so that it relates back to what they care about. So they care about this bird. Well, when we go out on a Jeep tour, I will stop and I'll pick out a plant and relate it to how this plant is very important in the life cycle of this particular bird that they traveled all the way out here to see. And maybe they can even taste the same plant or something like that. So it's the storytelling, I think, that really creates a really memorable experience. And as far as ecotourism, and storytelling, I think, is so important. It's how you can know a lot of knowledge, you can know a lot of facts that are really good, but if you can't get those across in a very meaningful way, it's not very fun, and it's not very memorable. So storytelling is really high in my book. Again, you can, I tell stories about a lot of different things, from bear sands to lizards to whatever. So it's what keeps me going, and it's what I love. So it's a good time. Really quickly on our revenue, now this is the Calamus Outfitters business in the entirety. So you can see kind of the tan orange segment, that is our lodging. And so that's our biggest money maker. And that's obviously from year round, okay? That's from 12 months of lodging. The green segment of the pie, that is just from our bird watching. So that is pure ecotourism, purely ecotourism revenue that's contributing to the pie. And what I think is really significant for our business is to remember that our spring bird watching is only about a month and a half long. That's it. So that month and a half really contributes a lot to our overall bottom line. The blue is our river trips in the summer, and the rest you can kind of see hashes out. You'll notice that in the red, my Jeep tours doesn't look like they contribute a lot. But for me, for my family, it's really meaningful because the revenue I derive off of my Jeep tours, it's my family's grocery money. I have a family of 4, and it pretty much buys my groceries for the year. So for me, it's really a meaningful contribution. Our biggest expenses, payroll, which we like because that's why we have the business, to benefit people. We like to hire local people. We hire a lot of summer kids, local kids that are coming back from college or high school kids. And some of that payroll goes to myself and my brother, which in the ranching business, it's a novel idea to pay yourself. We do this with this business, and it's been great. And then, of course, insurance is another big expense, but it's needed. You got to have it in whatever business you're in. Just looking at it a little bit differently, I threw all the revenue together. I only separated out lodging and activities so that you could see when our revenue comes in. And you can see January, February is non-existent. Oh, there's the bird watchers in March and April. There they are. May, we kind of dip down a little bit. We get some fishermen, not too much. July's our summer business. Right now, this is our busiest week of the entire summer this week. It's awesome. We're making hay while the sun shines. It's awesome. And then it dips back down in the fall. So, there's a lot of different options. We feel like there's opportunity to build on the shoulder seasons if we want to. It goes back to quality of life. Is it the right time for that for our family? Well, we need to sit down and talk about that, but there's room for growth, as you can see. Quickly, some lessons learned. This picture of myself is in a hot air balloon, same place that Katie had a picture of over in Nabby Moran, one of my favorite places on earth, because it really inspired me to get into ecotourism. But anyways, the first lesson I've learned came from the founder of this nature reserve in Namibia. And he said, all you need is the right attitude. And I just think that's so important. He was a huge pioneer in ecotourism, and he really believed that it can really provide a lot of jobs. It can provide and improve a lot of livelihoods. And really, you can get into it as much as you want, but it doesn't take a lot to get into it. You can have a very low capital, venture just to get into it and still have a really viable business. Definitely saw over there and we're living it here that tourism and conservation is very compatible. They can go hand in hand really, really smoothly and easily. I think ecotourism for me personally has really opened my eyes that absolutely everything has value. Everything from the knowledge in your head to the sunset in the sky to the grain of sand under your feet, everything has value. And I will say that the partnerships that we've gained over the years have been absolutely fantastic and have really helped us out along the way. Really quickly about conservation. Basically, we want diversity. We want the healthiest resource we can have. We feel like the healthier our resource is, the more opportunities it holds and the more potential it holds. So we want healthy and diverse. For us, we picked focal species of prairie chickens and grouse because they're really important to our business. And that's something that ecotourism does, is it puts value on that wildlife or whatever it is that is drawing people to you. And so whenever something has value, you manage for it. So definitely these birds, even though we've always enjoyed them, they're on the forefront of our mind in every management decision that we make on the ranch because they're very, very important for us and they've done a lot for our family. We do monitor them. Every year we have a census that we just do in-house every year just for our own information, overlay that with our ranch practices and see if we have any trends that pop up and make adjustments that are needed. So that's what I have. So I know we're a little short on time, so I'll step off and see if we have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that information. I've never had the chance to go there, but I'm really thinking about it now. It looks really cool. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, now's your time. Someone did have a question earlier. Question from Crystal to, I think, Jenna. Are the 2019 webinars on Visit Nebraska available to view? Like, are they recorded, I guess?
Yes, they are. So if you go to the industry page, so you got to scroll, you go to visitnebraska.com, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you click industry, you go to webinars, there'll be like different grid, a page of grids. One will be webinars. If you scroll down, you'll get to webinars from longer ago. So the most recent webinars are up top, the older ones are down low, they're all recorded. They're ripe for the picking.
Awesome. I guess I just had like a few questions, but I could just ask them as people are like asking questions. But what is one of the biggest challenges you all would say like right now that ecotourism has?
Well, I would say, at least for us, I would say that the land that we are on, as far as that we operate our ecotourism operations on, is just, it has a lot of pressures on it. There's a lot of pressures on the Great Plains in general. It's expected to produce a lot, food, energy, recreation. It's a lot. And I think that, there's some really good things going on out there, but it is worthy of careful planning, I do believe, so that we can, look into the future and try and make really smart decisions that will benefit all these different segments, because we need all these things, but do it in a way that is mutually beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Second, what Sarah said, and just kind of add that these pressures, they exist, and there is a tipping point. And there's a word for that, which is over tourism. And so if you're careful and you're continually evaluating your business model, like Sarah and her family do, you're in control. You can make those decisions needed to know when one step is too much. And that could be for your family, that could be for the land. And that is always something to be cognizant of when entering into this type of business.
So there's a question from Crystal for Sarah. Do you have any other guidance on setting price points other than the level of interaction required?
Price points have been one of our biggest challenges. It's really hard, especially if you come from an agricultural background, because you usually don't set your own price. Usually you get what the market will bear for your product. So when we first started, and still we struggle with that, and all that, right or wrong, all that we did when we first got started was just try to reach out to other operations and just gauge, what are they providing and what are they charging? And people have asked me that a lot, and I'm happy to share that information because I know how hard it is to do that. So, we basically looked at, what are we offering as far as equipment, the cost that goes into that, our time, our expertise, just all the inputs. What are all the inputs? And try and come up with a price that is both fair to us and fair to our customer. And I honestly feel like overall, our price points are probably a little low, quite honestly. But as a family, that's what we're comfortable with right now as a family. That might change someday, but it's important for us. We would rather be full rather and have a lower price point than price ourselves out and have less people. But that's a decision, there's all sorts of possibilities.
Yeah, that's a good point that you made, I guess, is there's just like really no method, I guess, to put value onto like nature and the environment. It's like scattered all over the place. But yeah, I don't see any other questions that people are bringing in, but I don't know if you guys had anything else that you wanted to say real quick or if you were good.
I guess the only thing I would add is I think one of the exciting things about ecotourism is anybody can do it, and you can almost do it anywhere, almost. You don't have to own a ranch. You don't have to be close to a big state rec area. You can go to a park and do ecotourism. It's a really fun, interactive way to create an experience. And the benefits are, there's just so many things you can do, with the revenue that comes in. Not only does it support your livelihood, but it can go right back into your passion. That's people that are in ecotourism are passionate usually about specific things in nature or what have you, and you can fuel that passion. And that's why I just think it's a really exciting little segment of tourism.
I think that Sarah made a great point about storytelling, and it's something that I talk to people a lot, not just storytelling, but talking about like how ecotourism itself is like such a changing experience for people, no matter at what level they do it. It sort of gets you out of your normal day-to-day life. It gets you out of these rooms and these screens, and really changes your perspective on so many things. And I've been to Sarah's ranch, and it was pretty impactful. So even if you're doing something small, I would just really encourage people to get out there and see the rest of the state and the wider Great Plains, because at the Center for Great Plains Studies, we're always talking about like, we're a little bit of a forgotten part of the country, but you really don't need mountains and beaches to have an amazing environmental experience.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's attending right now. And many thanks to our three great speakers today. You're all doing amazing work in advancing conservation in Nebraska, honestly, and it's really, really appreciated. Just like knowing that you three are women, and it's like, it's really awesome that you guys are doing this work, and it sets a really good example for like future leaders in our state and in the US. So thank you for that. So just a reminder to everyone attending, when you leave the meeting, the webinar, there will be a link that pops up on your web page. And so just complete that survey for us. It'll be awesome. But yeah, thank you all. Please stay safe, healthy. But yeah.
Thanks to Eric for putting this together.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got some dynamite gals here.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.